DJ Appiah for that one more time. Well, I have got in the studio with me award-winning business journalist Alfred Nene Akrofi Ocansey, the man of the moment. Good morning to you.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy.
Oh my goodness. This used to be our usual arrangement.
I tell you,
people often ask me, "Oh, Helen, I love listening to you in the morning. I love it." This is my mentor. You know, for those of you who ask, you know, who taught you, who's teaching you, who's helping you. Well, my mentor is in the studio. We started this in 2020. Look at us now. Alfred, peaks and troughs.
I tell you.
What have we not seen in Babylon? Well, it's good to see you. Good morning.
It's good to see you too. Good morning. It's good to be here, honestly.
Happy New Year.
Many happy returns.
I'm not making it up when I say our listeners, when they call, they're asking of you. They want to know where you are. I said, you guys are not watching late night. He's transitioned from the early mornings into the late nights.
It feels very strange even being here.
In the morning.
So, you know, it used to be like our daily schedule.
Yes.
You know, we wake up in the morning and we're here by 5:45 and so on.
That's right.
I'm here this morning. I'm like,
you see the way your cheeks are shaking black like that,
no,
because you don't have to be up at the crack of dawn. Lucky for some.
You also go to bed early.
I do go to bed early. It balances things out.
Absolutely.
So I actually watch Ghana Tonight when I wake up around 3 a.m. or dawn. So that's where I get my
playback.
I do a playback. Sometimes I try and catch it, but for me, after 9:30, it's very shaky. The eyes are closing. I'm going to bed. And well done to you. Ghana Tonight was crowned. What is it? Show.
Well, that's the television program of the year.
Television program of the year.
By the Ghana Journalist Association Awards.
Amazing. So, DJ Appiah, you know what to do.
Why are you doing
You know what to do.
Yes.
One more time. I mean, that's no easy feat because you're really a new kid on the block.
Yeah.
Only a year old. But, you know, Ghana Tonight gets its flowers because it's exactly the right type of show for this climate. You want to sift through the noise,
Indeed.
Sift through the the other elements that don't really take you on a knowledge sharing expedition, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
The space is saturated with all types of opinions, but getting to the truth or the heart of the matter isn't always easy. And I think Ghana Tonight has shown the way as far as that's concerned. And I mean, last year you had a great year dissecting through some of the hottest and biggest current affairs. Stories.
Absolutely. I agree with you perfectly. And I, on behalf of the team, I say thank you for those kind words. I mean, it's always the case that we can get that from you, Helen, and the team. Thank you so much. You're right about the good year we had last year. And I think that I can also credit to the work that my predecessors. I say predecessors because Ghana Tonight was built on the foundation of News at 10.
Right.
News at 10 was handled by Martin Esiedudate and the news team.
Right.
Before we sort of expanded the scope of that program, that news program, to now have a full-blown talk show or a current affairs program for that matter. So I think that they did a good job, over the period, laying that strong foundation for us to build a superstructure on. And you can say that for all the other shows on, even on 3FM.
Right.
I see the great things that you're doing right now on Sunrise, with Johnny and the team. And it didn't come, overnight.
That's right.
To be honest. And I think that over time, there's been a lot that has gone into the foundation that has helped to build this superstructure that we are building right now. So that said, having given that credit to the people who started the work, this project of Ghana Tonight was a very tricky one. I keep saying this all the time because, as you indicated, someone like you love the news, but then you would knock off at a particular time.
That's right.
And so you come back and get to catch up. And you're not alone. Because when we do live Ghana Tonight, we have, say, 8K live views.
It's on the streaming
on
views.
The stream
right.
on Facebook. But when you wake up in the morning, by 6 a.m., it shot up to like 15 or 16K, a double.
And I observe that same also on X, because we stream both on X and on Facebook. And I watch on X as well. And on X, on the live stream, because it's a smaller audience, you get them maybe the 1K, 2K. Now the numbers are growing 3K, but come morning as well, another 4K added on to that viewership.
So you're not alone in that population of viewers who wake up to catch up, and they know. At least what excites me, and I come back to what Professor Kodmensa was saying, that there's a certain brand awareness. We have created that awareness that there's a brand called Ghana Tonight that you should wake up and want to go back and watch. That's one positive aspect of, people, just waking up and going back to watch. And the other bit as well is that we as a result of this observation, in the first 4 months of the program, and just for our listeners' sake, Ghana Tonight is what, like 19 months old? Yes. We started this this was in July
of
2022.
2022, right.
Yes, so we're just 19 months old, I would say. And so we did a lot of reviews along the way, just to make sure that we fine-tune the content, the delivery, the structure, and then also the methodology of the program so as to reach the audience at that particular time. We realized that a lot more people, until Ghana Tonight came in, were more inclined to watching telenovelas and all of those things around that time, 10 p.m. So after engaging with viewers on social media and verbal interactions, said, you know what, why don't we infuse one quality guests on the show, and not just an opinion, because around that time you have other political or current affairs programs running on other stations where it's more opinionated shows, where one person stands, will do a touch screen, and then he's talking about what he thinks in his view, right? It's right. Okay. As against now bringing guests, multiple guests, to espouse different views and ideas based on their areas of specialization. So, for instance, Professor Kodmensa is a constant guest on Ghana Tonight.
Right.
If he's speaking about political marketing, he's speaking from the point of an intellectual, someone who knows his stuff. And this morning, what he's been talking about tells you exactly the kind of person that he is.
Right.
So we move beyond opinions, okay, that you find on other shows, right? And we also don't stick to just one topic. So we realize that instead of just taking one topic and running for 1 hour, how about 2, 3, or 4 topics and do it within that 1 hour?
Because when you do that way, you get to the heart of the matter.
Absolutely.
We don't need a lot of the fluff that comes with these issues. People want to turn on the program and get straight to the issue.
Absolutely. And this is like the cookie crumbling show. Because we are ending the news cycle for the day. So the advantage that we have, and which we realized after 3 months of doing the show, is that, instead of just picking 1 or 2 issues that may have been prominent during the day, the news cycle, why don't we also create our own topic, like set our own agenda?
That's right.
Because before 10 p.m., a number of things would have happened that if we strategize well, we could even feed into the next morning's topics.
That's right.
So that's one of the things that we did after the first quarter of the show, where through strategy, we're able to carve out certain topics that lead the conversation for the next day. So most of the time, the issues that we'll talk about on Ghana Tonight will find its way onto the headlines or the front pages of newspapers. Because when you study the news cycle, you know what will trend the next morning. Unless, of course, something happens at dawn when people are sleeping, or very early in the morning when there's like a ghastly accident, and then it takes the news.
Or if, for example, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa takes to his X page as he has done an hour ago.
And he drops a bombshell.
I mean, you know what he says? I've intercepted a document. This morning, if you go on his page, you see what document he has intercepted.
He's called Honorable Interceptor. He knows it. Oh, yeah. So it's that kind of review. And I think that's what has also helped Sunrise, to grow over the period. So consistently, you're looking back at trying to put in certain segments and other content that will catch up with people. And I'm happy to say that at the end of November last year, based on research data by Ipsos.
That's right.
The marketing research company.
That's right.
Ghana Tonight had a little over 893,000 viewers live.
That's incredible. You're pretty much close to that 1 million viewership mark.
Absolutely.
What a feat.
And we have the chunk of the lucrative market during that period.
Yeah, that's why your cheeks are inflated like that.
The money doesn't come to me.
Oh, come on. By extension,
it goes to...
I know exactly who's buying my lunch.
It goes to the company.
Stop that.
That's why you and I...
But Alfred, again, it's been a great year. But listening to Professor Kobe Mensah talking about the type of year we are forecasting, it's going to be certainly busy on Ghana Tonight because it's an election year.
Yeah.
And for a year that's gone by, 2023, that was fraught with so many issues. In fact, we haven't even finished dealing with 2023's issues. And already 2024 has a lot in store for us. With the team at Ghana Tonight, how are you looking to sift through the issues this year? Because during the election year, like I said, the issues are plenty. The political parties are trying to score points, if you will, for lack of a better expression. And so they'll be going into their arsenal and feeding the people, the populace, with all types of information. What will you be looking to, or how will you be looking to decipher between what is newsworthy, what do the citizens want to hear, and the rest that, we can leave in 2023?
Well, so, you see, there's... What you can say is the concern of the people. And that's what has been the focus of a number of the programs, even on media journal platforms. What impacts the viewer or the listener the most beyond anything else? I think that's where the interest lies. Because if a political party comes to tell me that, for instance, if there's a news about, say, inflation going down, and that's one of the narratives that is in vogue recently, because inflation reduced from over 52% down to now about 32.5, 33%.
Have we not reached the 24% mark?
You come down a bit, and it's been trickling down over the period.
Okay.
Now, when you have that narrative out, I'm going to look beyond the figures. So that it would make sense to you and I.
That's right.
So that's the kind of focus that we've had over the period. So if the Ghana Statistical Service comes to say inflation has reduced to about 26.5% from 52.4% at the beginning of the same period, 2023. I'm going to say to the viewer that when you go to the market, what's your personal inflation, right?
Right.
That is what makes sense to you beyond what you're told, because inflation is an economic terminology which, until this government came in, a number of the things we didn't really know, but they know that Ghanaians naturally are concerned about our personal state of affairs, not the jargons.
That's
and they
right.
get away with a lot of things because they use the jargons to confuse the ordinary man. So if a politician comes to sit in the studio and tells you that because inflation has gone down, when you go to the market, prices of goods and services should also go down, that's a lie.
And in fact, in other regions, how inflation is measured will not even be the same as you're in Accra. In other places, food inflation is still so high.
You are so right about this. So if you come here and you say because inflation has reduced from 52% to 26%, and so if the listener goes to the market, this is a credit to government. That's a lie. Inflation basically means the continuous rise in the price of goods and services over a certain period. Usually it is measured over 12 months, that's a year. But then because of the month-on-month inflation analysis, you do it on a monthly basis so that you can be able to monitor the trend of either the reduction or the increase in inflationary rates. But you should let the listener know that it does not necessarily mean that if you went to the market and bought a tuber of yam for 30 cedis or 25 cedis or 20 cedis at Medina market, because inflation has gone down, when you go, you should get it for 10 cedis. Sometimes when you hear the politicians push this ignorant narrative, what we do, and I see that a lot also on Sunrise, is that you go beyond the figures and let the figures make sense to the people.
That's right.
So you tell them that this cannot be the case. It cannot be true. And so when you go to the market and the market women are sharing with you other things, other factors that influences their pricing, like transportation and so on and so forth, which has not gone down, even though inflation has gone down, then you're able to diffuse the narrative. Because as you indicated, it's an election year.
That's right.
There's got to be a lot of propaganda.
That's right.
And then a lot of misinformation, and then also political advantage strategy. That's what Professor Kobe Mensah talked about.
That's right.
But one of the things that he said that I take away quite strongly is that the best messaging that any political party can have is honesty. Honesty is one of the best ways to sell any brand. So if a politician is known to be a liar, a chronic liar, he says things, and
it doesn't materialize. Promises made never come to fruition,
and so on and so forth. Because the Ghanaian voter over the period hasn't punished politicians for lying to us, they think they can get away with it all the time. You see, because and lying has been normalized in our politics.
You say it's been normalized?
Oh yes, because until the Ghanaian voter is able to punish politicians for saying something and not doing,
or for reporting figures that are not true. So, for example, we've created 2 million jobs, and you say, show us.
We are going to continuously be taken for granted by the politician. But I believe that continuously the Ghanaian voter is increasingly becoming discerning. The kind of sentiments you hear the people express now, as against maybe 20 years ago, you can see an informed position when you are talking to the so-called ordinary Ghanaian in this country.
We're citizens now.
Absolutely.
And we're not spectators. Was the president ready for what was going to happen when he tasked us with that?
If you forget anything at all that President Akrofi did, or what he said, or if you criticize him for everything that he's done wrong, one thing that he did right, in my view, was to tell citizens to be now wake up and be what? Citizens and not spectators. That call is what has now woken up all of us, including Johnny Hughes, who is like now the thorn in the flesh of government.
That's right. He's biting each and every morning.
Until that call, we were all, yes, we would complain about politicians saying things and not. But after that call, we realized that, okay, fine.
Actually, we too want to be dissecting the issues.
Absolutely. So if you're talking to the Ghanaian now, I think that any politician who thinks that you can just come in 2024 and still tell people what they want to hear for them to vote for you, you might just be laughing at the wrong side of your mouth.
Now, for something that was quite interesting after the hashtag Occupy Julobi protests was this sort of rise in civic consciousness, if you will, especially on social media, as far as the younger generation is concerned. The information that was coming out, the questioning of information that was coming out. So it's no longer the case where government says we've done X, Y, Z. The youth are saying, okay, prove it.
Sure.
Show us how you've done
Absolutely.
so. So you had one gentleman who was part of the anti-protests, if you will, in the UK. And you had one gentleman that joined you via Zoom on Ghana Tonight, talking about the NAPCO trainees and how they have now been gainfully employed. And you took him to task. You said, where are you getting these figures from? How have you come by these numbers? And what impact is that having on the on employment stats? And we saw him fumble. Quickly you said, well, thank you for your time. And you put him off the air. I cut that clip and I put it on social media. And the responses were overwhelming. They said, kudos to Alfred for not allowing this conversation to go on any further, because one, this gentleman simply didn't have the facts or the stats. And we see that day in and day out. And I think that was quite instrumental in letting us know that if somebody is saying things they simply cannot prove, you don't have to give them an audience. If you're coming with information, what is your source? And I often hear you as well. The last time was on Key Points with Richard Ahiagba, quoting some figures. You simply asked him, what is your source?
Absolutely.
And it happens on the different sides of the divide. Scoring of political points is not something the citizenry want to engage in. What are your stats and your figures? You bring a new idea, for example, 24-hour economy was proposed. We got a lot of reaction to that. There was pushback. There was a warm embrace of that idea. But what that is spark conversation. People said, let's put put politics aside and let's take these policies as they come and think as a people, are these policies that will benefit us?
True. And you're right about this. You see, I think that in respecting our viewers and listeners, sometimes some of the conversations are just pure, waste of time. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
So for you as a host, you might as well just exercise discretion by discontinuing certain conversations that don't make sense. And so that's what you see me do a number of times, because sometimes you're listening to the politicians and some of the things they kind of say, and they kind of disconnect. They don't relate to directly to the people. It's annoying, and it's sometimes very distasteful. So in order to just put your viewers and listeners in very calm mood, just continue the conversation and move on to something else. Because previously there was this notion that in Ghana you can just come and tell the Ghanaian what they want to hear and they will vote for you.
And this idea that also journalists cannot push back, will not push back, or will not demand the source.
But now things have changed.
That's right.
So if you came and told the Ghanaian what you think they wanted to hear, so they would vote for you, well, guess what? If you're going to apply that same strategy in 2024, you would lose. Democracy is so expensive, Helen, and you and I, unfortunately, are the ones who are paying for the cost of democracy. We're going to spend our energies talking about politicians and what they say they will do, which they end up not doing.
That's right.
You see, because it is the only contract between us and the politician is the promise they give to us.
That's right.
Of what they said they were going to do, which was captured in the manifesto. And it was on the basis of that people had confidence to vote for the government in power. And after doing that, in fact, you go through the process, the stressful process of queuing. Even people use stones to chalk positions.
So I was
ahead of December 7th to go and vote for the politician, because they are exercising their right in choosing leaders. After going through that stress of electing leaders, you also go through the painful process, of paying taxes, because nobody really want to pay taxes.
No.
But when you go through the process of paying taxes, after working hard at the end of the month, the government has continuously increased the tax burden on you and I.
That's right.
Income tax, VAT, and other indirect taxes have been imposed over the last 7 years, which has increased the tax burden on the individual.
And reduced your purchasing power.
Absolutely, because the Ghana Revenue Authority and government doesn't want to do the hard work of identifying the taxable population that is not being taxed. So all they do is continuously introduce indirect taxes so that everyone else can pay. But here's what's happening with that. Because those of us in the formal sector,
that's right,
also have to bear the burden of the indirect taxes that have been introduced, in addition to the direct taxes we're paying in the formal sector. So that's a very lazy approach. And this administration was very consistent about moving this economy from what?
Taxation to production.
We're not saying that. So if a journalist or an individual Ghanaian comes to you and says, this is what you promised, you have not delivered, we're looking at the manifesto, which is the only document that defines the contract between the citizen and the politician. It is on the basis of that people voted for you. If that promise is broken, they have every right to speak. That's the second one. The third one is that, you see, after paying taxes for the government, hoping that they will do what they said they will do, we also take care of them.
That's
and
right.
then think about it. After going through the sweat of electing,
that's right,
paying your taxes, you also take care of the fuel,
that's right,
the rent, the food feeding, the traveling, the family expenses, and even their very nefarious activities expenses as well. You understand?
All because we want them to be comfortable to do the job that...
And think.
Yes.
Comfortable enough to think and come up with policies that would improve our standard of living and reduce our cost of living.
It's a simple concept.
Simple. We are not asking for too much,
at all.
Ghanaians don't ask for a lot of things. When you hear people demonstrating about roads and stuff like that, these are the basic things. The very basic things. And that's what we're struggling with, because the politician over time has taken the Ghanaian for granted. But that period has ended. they've got to wake up and realize and smell the coffee.
And you too, Alfred. Tomorrow you have to wake up a bit earlier for me so we can do this together, because the comments are overwhelming. They said Alfred and Helen. They said, "What terrific duo! I'm back." I didn't make that up. I didn't make that up. They said the terrific duo is back in action. Alfred, tomorrow is Thursday. Perfect timing. Throwback Thursday. We'll take it back to 2020. But Alfred, it's good to see you. And we're promising you a hot and warm breakfast if you do return to us tomorrow, so we can put some of this conversation. It's not a bait. It's happening live. Something hot and juicy awaits you tomorrow. Alfred, it's good to see you this morning. And it's good to see the passion is still there. The energy is still there, because we can listen to you also still on radio, 5 p.m. sharp on Hot Edition each and every weekday afternoon. So today you'll be with us at 5 p.m. and then again on Ghana Tonight, and then again on Sunrise tomorrow morning. How exciting is that? We can talk more about these themes, expand on them, talk about money, because we have some hot ticket items happening in the next few weeks. IMF second tranche is in contention. We're told now to look out for the end of February. We're also thinking about the Bank of Ghana financing government. What is that going to look like in the year 2024?
Well, they said zero financing,
because the IMF is Big Brother is in town, and that's what's going to be happening as well. So we can explore some of those themes and really how they apply to our personal pockets as well. But Alfred, thank you so much for stopping by this morning. Tomorrow we go again.